In the video, she goes on a very calm tirade about how there's not enough women in comedy, and the reason for that, of course, is because men are suppressing women, and the whole comedy scene is completely misogynistic and is working at every step to make sure those women don't make people laugh and be happy. The irony of the things she says in her videos is that it's completely ironic, and she takes a stab at people being logical in the video, and it's obvious that she has absolutely no reason or logic to her whatsoever, because if she had any sense of thought in her mind, she could actually open up her eyes and see what is actually going on in the world and how male comedians are actually treated as opposed to female comedians. The inequality about what men and women can get away with in the comedy is staggering, and while the gap is slowly decreasing, women can more or less still get away with talking about a guy having his dick chopped off on national television, while a man talking about rape in a private comedy show will get the third degree. Dame's whole video is simply the first step of the feminist formula that's been repeated over and over again, where they go against something they dislike in society. The first step being, of course, to try in vain to convince people to change their view and find something that they feel should be funny, or not laugh at something that they feel people shouldn't laugh at. Even often when that something is something they wouldn't laugh about it themselves and probably feel deep guilt about. Once they realize that they are way too retarded to be taken seriously, and that they are much more likely to be the butt of jokes rather than the cause for people to not say them, they of course switch to censorship. And this is something that's usually coming from the feminist side of the spectrum rather than the other side. I myself personally, with all the bullshit I hear on YouTube, feminists spout, would never actively go out and try to take the free speech of YouTube, even though YouTube is a private company and will have every right to take down or put up whatever they want to. But I would never actively actually go out and try to censor a feminist, no matter how much I disagree with her. But you better believe that there are going to be feminists that will try to censor me when they get a bit more popular, of course. That's a given. That's a given to come from that side of the spectrum, to censor and to stop. And this is the huge difference that is so obvious to me, but again, it's not obvious to the feminists for some weird reason. Maybe they need a bit of that logic, after all. If you want to go out and tell jokes about men having their dicks cut off, go for it. I won't be the one who will be stopping you. But leave the men alone and leave the jokes we tell alone. I remember back in school when I was a little boy, I was telling a joke to my friend at the bus stop, a blonde joke, and I had a grown-ass woman, a middle-aged woman, sternly tell me how horrible telling the joke was and how I shouldn't do it. Now, I doubt there is any kind of treatment that I got from this fucking mature, disgusting woman. I doubt there's any kind of treatment on the opposite side coming from men towards women. If a woman tells a fart joke, we might certainly make fun of her farting or telling a joke, but I doubt there'll be a guy out there telling this little girl to not make any fart jokes because we're not funny. There'll be nothing like that. The real shaming generally comes from women shaming men. The other thing she mentions is heckling, and that is a universal thing. And again, the majority of guys who get heckled, guys get heckled by women. The last comedy show I went to, a guy was getting heckled by women, two drunk women, actually, heckling the fuck out of him about his comedy. I'm yet to see a woman get heckled, even though I've certainly seen some female comedians that probably needed to be. The saving grace of Dame's video comes at the end, where she tells women to take responsibility for their actions and use the open forum that is YouTube to make funny videos and let people decide if they're funny or not. And that's good advice. That's the advice that you should be giving women, not that there's this patriarchy stopping women from doing shit. There's never been anything stopping women from going to an open mic and doing the comedy and talking. Nothing's ever stopped them from building up their own fan base. There might be some, politics going on in the upper levels of primetime television, but that's a whole different story. And if you are funny, if you're genuinely funny and can make that physical reaction of people laughing come from yourself, nothing should be stopping you from being successful. Now, don't get me wrong, it's probably not going to be an easy road for men or women. To make any kind of living of art is, from what I heard, is very, very difficult. Just look at the amount of talent on YouTube in the music world who don't really make a living off their art. I'm sure it's the same with comedy, and I'm sure there are a lot of comedians who are pretty funny, but they don't make that much money because there's either somebody funnier than them or someone who is willing to put in the work of traveling to different clubs, working maybe for free even, and getting their comedy out there. And that's really what you gotta do in the industry. Just from what I hear, I mean, I'm not in the industry, I just make YouTube video clips. So yes, that's my response video to this clip, and check it out if you're so inclined, but I'm probably still right. And have a good day.